My name is Tim Smith of the Adams County Historical Society. And since it's Christmas, in lieu of Monuments Monday, we thought we'd do something with Christmas history. As luck would have it, this Christmas is the bicentennial of the first printing of the most famous Christmas poem of all time, an account of a visit from St. Nicholas, or, as it is better known, "'Twas the night before Christmas." The poem was written in 1822 by New York City resident Clement Clark Moore. It was first published on December 23rd, 1823, in the Troy Sentinel, published in Troy, New York. It was first published anonymously, but by 1837, Moore's name was attached to the poem. And although there have been those who have suggested that someone else wrote it, there's good evidence that Moore is the true author. The poem was extremely popular early on, and it was reprinted in newspapers and magazines across the country, and eventually illustrations were added. Although his Santa was based on the St. Nicholas already popularized by Washington Irving and others, there are facets of the story as told in the poem that were added by Moore himself. For instance, they ate reindeer pulling the sleigh. Just a couple notes of interest about the poem. In the original, one of the lines is actually, "had just settled our brains for a long winter's nap." And you might be surprised to learn that in the original version of the poem, the reindeers were named Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen and Comet and Cupid and Dunder and Bliksem. Dunder and Bliksem being Dutch slang for thunder and lightning, oddly enough. And in the original, the exclamation is clearly not on the reindeers' names. That the line is, "Now, Dasher, now, Dancer, now, Prancer and Vixen, on, Comet, on, Cupid, on, Dunder and Blitzen." Of course, that's not as popular as the way people do it today. And finally, the last sentence of the poem is different. "But I heard him exclaim, ere he drove out of sight, 'Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night.'" So there was no Merry Christmas at that time. And of course, since we're the Adams County Historical Society and we're located in Gettysburg, we got to talk a little bit about the Civil War connection of the poem. At the time of the American Civil War, "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" was possibly the most famous story associated with the holiday. And you can see its influence in this Harper's Weekly Christmas edition from 1863. There's no doubt that the soldiers were reading the poem in their winter encampments. And two other tidbits. Clement Moore's grandson served as an officer in the 20th Massachusetts Infantry. And finally, Clement Moore himself died on July 10th, 1863, just a few days after the Battle of Gettysburg. Now, what I would like to do is read the poem as it was originally printed, and as illustrations will show some of the early illustrated versions of the poem. Two of them are available at the Library of Congress, and they are 1862 and 1864 publications of the actual poem. Account of a visit from St. Nicholas. "'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mama in her kerchief and I in my cap had just settled our brains for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprung from the bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters and threw open the sash. The moon on the breast of a new fallen snow gave the luster of midday to objects below, when what to my wondering eye should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer. With a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be St. Nick. More rapid than eagles his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Dunder and Blixen. To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall, now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As dry leaves before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet with an obstacle, mount to the sky. So up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with a sleigh full of toys, and St. Nicholas too. And then in a twinkling I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys was flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard of his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke, it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work, and filled all the stockings, and turned with a jerk. And laying his finger aside of his nose, and giving a nod up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim, ere he drove out of sight, "Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night."